y'all, welcome and welcome back. It's Lolo. Today we're going to jump into my life log, which is the only method of journaling that I've been able to do consistently for over a month now, which, okay, relative to my lack of consistency with every other method of journaling is kind of amazing. I'm one of those people that dreams of being a consistent journaler, but almost every entry I have starts with something like, oops, haven't journaled in a while. Not anymore. This Notion setup takes me like 2 minutes a day and gets down all the information I actually really want. And a lot of this comes from Slow Cozy Kelly and extratxt, which are two amazing channels. So thank you so much for all the inspiration there. The general idea of this life log is 1, to rate each day 1 to 5, with 1 being the worst, 5 the best. 2, to list out some good things and bad things that happen each day to help me pick out patterns of what makes a good day good and a bad day bad. And 3, to create a streamlined way for me to review my days weekly and monthly and eventually yearly. And I will go through this later, but here there's my monthly hobbies, then the weekly section, the monthly section, and the yearly section. So that's what this page generally looks like. I think I'll start with a tour of just how I use this, and then at the end of the video show a bit more of the mechanics of how they all come together, because there's quite a bit of relations and formulas happening between the databases. Okay. So now let's dive in a bit deeper. So there's 5 buttons up here just to make it easy to start a new entry. Instead of having to click new page and make a new entry, put in all the details, you can just start journaling by deciding, okay, what score does the day get? And based on that, you'll click either 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, represented by these lovely icons from Flat Icon, which I've credited the creators in the description. I feel like they're just so much more expressive than emojis. Since I use emojis every day, it just doesn't feel that special, but here it really makes me think, okay, do I feel like a dead fish today, or am I this party hat, happy smiley face? Okay, so we click 1, and let's say today's a 5 out of 5 day. That'll populate a new template entry, and you'll see that the icon, the photo, the date, title, day score, everything that's related to a 5 out of 5 day is already populated, and all we have to do is fill out the actual substantive information. So first up is this closet button. I won't go into too much detail with this now, but I've recently been trying to be more aware of what I'm wearing, or probably more importantly, what I'm not wearing. So I have this here to remind myself to track it every night when I journal, so I can start getting a sense of what clothes are just not being touched by me. And then next here, these check boxes, these are the habits that I'm tracking. So you'll see that I've included one for closet tracking, even though I already have that button up there, because I like the satisfaction of checking it off once I've done it. I'm also tracking how often I rock climb, go on walks, do morning pages, which, side note, this is another failed journaling attempt of mine. I did it for like 2 days and then never again. And since this Notion is working so well, I'm probably gonna just ditch morning pages. Like, it doesn't feel like I need it. So then there's reading, working out, taking vitamins, and whether I did intermittent fasting that day. Generally, I'd say I'm not super big into habit tracking, and so I haven't designed a whole big Notion page around it. I know there are creators out there who have, and they look amazing. I just like having a general idea of how I'm doing with these goals, and so you'll see there's a bar here in the gallery view for each day that just shows generally the percentage of habits I've finished, and that's really all the data I need anymore, and I would be too stressed to look at it. So next we write here 3 good things that happened that day and 3 bad things. The 3 good things are absolutely not optional. Even when I can only think of 2, I will sit there and force myself to think of a 3rd one. The bad is optional. Usually I'll have 1 or 2. I don't think I've ever had a day where there were 0 bad things, but I won't force myself to get up to 3 things because that's just not good vibes. So you'll see here when I have bad days, which, sorry, the bad day content is blurred out. I'm shy and there's a lot of feelings being dumped here. But you can see as an example that when it's a bad day, one of my good things was just weather cooling down again or not too busy at work. Like, those are fine, but looking back, it's clear I was pulling my hair out trying to think of something good. But I think that the exercise of doing this has overall made me, I want to say, a tad teeny tiny bit happier, maybe. So I'm going to keep doing it, and hopefully the trend of scores of each week goes up. Okay, and then next we have my memory book and my big wins. So obviously here we have a bunch of writing, especially by the end of the month. I'm not going to be reading all of that. So I'll just write the headline events here if there is one that day. Where this comes into play is in my weekly, monthly, and yearly views. They'll be rolled up there through the magic of Notion, and so they just stand out a bit more. So I have memory book memories here and big wins, like super proud moments. For example, you'll see here posting my first video. Huge win for me, and I wanted to make sure that stood out and didn't get lost in these other entries. Okay, and then just at the bottom of each daily page, I have a linked database to my task dump. So if I have anything in my head right before I go to bed, I can just empty that there, go to sleep soundly, and process the next day. You can check out the video that I posted last week, linked up here, for more of my task log tour, where you can see how this comes into play. But essentially, it just ends up here in this page. And that's the daily journal. So once that's done, I can close my phone and head to bed. Next, we have the weekly review, which I try to do every Sunday. I struggled a lot with what I wanted this to look like because I feel like everyone on YouTube says weekly reset, weekly review, and I just have no idea what that means really. But after some trial and error, I think I finally like my prompts and my tasks that all show up here. So on Sunday, we click this button for a new week, which populates this template. Then we'll hop into the page for the last week and fill out these prompts. I like to write the good, what could have been better, and a single proud moment. One week you'll see I wrote NA, which is horrible. I'm never letting myself do that again. Like, come on, Lolo, you showed up the whole week, just write that instead of nothing. But you can see that I'll try to be proud of myself because that's a hard thing to do. And you can see the core memories also roll up from when I entered them in the life update. Then in the body of the page, I have a list of things I like to do each Sunday along with this review. So I like to add my expenses to my Notion. You can see a sneak preview here, video coming soon. Clean out my inbox, my downloads folder, clean out my commonplace book, and then catch up on any journaling I haven't done. The reason these are just the basic Notion to-do buttons is because I really only refer to it here. If I forget it, I forget it. I'll do it next week. So I don't really need to incorporate it into my task log as a recurring task. It's just nicer to have it in this page. And then on the right here are the hobbies I'm currently focusing on, called goals in quotation marks, because somehow goals without the quotation marks makes them actual goals, and that's too much for my brain to handle. So they are goals with quotation marks. Basically, they're just hobbies that I enjoy, and that'll come into play when we do our monthly review. Okay, so that's a great segue to the monthly review, which just like the weekly, we'll click here to create a new month. And when it comes time to review, we have our memory book here, our big wins, the various goods and bads and proud moments from each week that month. And I feel like because I do so much, reflecting each week, I don't think I really want to do more of that in the month. So instead, I have fun questions here like, what did you listen to and what did you watch and what were some of your favorite things? So this just helps make the monthly review not as onerous, but also a chance to just review all the information that you've gathered throughout the month. The one reflective thing that I do, which is where the hobbies come in, is I'll choose my new hobbies for the month. I have a lot of hobbies. I'm not good at any of them, and I also rarely do any of them. But I feel like because I have so many, every time I have free time, I just have decision paralysis and I don't know what I want to pick up, and I just cry instead and scroll on my phone. So I'm trying out this new system where every month I'll pick out maybe 2 to 4 things that I think that month I want to focus on. So when I do have free time, instead of looking at 20 different things I could do, I'm only looking at 2 to 4, and hopefully that removes the decision fatigue and I'll actually do something that theoretically should bring me joy. So we'll see how that goes. So far it's going okay. And so to do all that, we'll click the reset month button here, which just removes the check marks from the last month of what I focused on, and we can pick new ones. Let's say this month I want to focus on playing the piano and cleaning out my photos and obviously keep working on Notion. Those I would check, and then they would become the 3 focuses of the month. And once you've picked that, you can click the other tab here and see how pretty that is, and then also kind of just sit with whether those images feels like what you're gonna do that month. Obviously you can change it whenever, but just to kind of get the vibe. And then I have the yearly review, which I have absolutely no idea what I want to do. I feel like there's so much pressure surrounding the yearly review, but it's June right now, so I do have half a year, and so this will just stay empty. You'll see here that it just for now rolls up everything, so if I want to see everything in the year to date, I can just click this, but other than that, that's really all it is. And all of that is my life log journaling Notion setup. One thing I also wanted to highlight is that the default Notion views just don't have enough color for me, so I've added formula properties to everything to get it to look nice in this main view. In other words, here I'll type what I type, and then I'll have a whole separate property that just takes what I typed and makes it pretty. So for example, if you go to your gallery view and you just show the actual property of where you type, it's black and white, it doesn't have a label, so it's not really clear what it's talking about. I just don't love looking at that. But then you look at this with all the formatting, it is so pretty and it makes me love visiting this page. So anytime I'm creating a Notion page, I just try to use that as much as possible to get away from this basic black and white font that is on every page. And I think it makes a big difference. And I think that's a great segue into talking about how the rest of this comes together. So it's just a lot of different databases relating to each other. For example, every time I click a button to start a new day, you can see here that it automatically adds that entry that you just created into the appropriate week, into the appropriate month, and into the appropriate year. That way, when I'm in my week or my month, I can easily roll up whatever properties I want, such as my memory book memories or my big wins and so on. That function works the same for my week and month. So when I click on new week, it adds that week to the appropriate month and year. And then when I click new month, it adds it to the appropriate year. So you can see that's basically 4 databases that are all interconnected so that the information can be shared however they want. And that's also the reason, in case you were wondering, why I have the week and month set as a manual button instead of just a recurring task template, which you can do with Notion now, where it'll just populate a new page each month. And it's because I want that new page that is populated to be related to the appropriate other pages based on the date that it is, which I don't really quite know how to do with templates yet, but that you can do with formulas within the button. But obviously, please correct me if I'm wrong, because it would be so amazing if I could somehow automate this. And finally, we have just this behind the scenes toggle, which is just some databases that are working in the background, like my list of big wins, the memory book, and then my OG life updates database that is linked at the top of the page. So we just keep it all here, keep it somewhere safe and also invisible. And yes, I think that's everything. So I absolutely love my life log. I love to use it. I hope that you loved it and that it's useful to you as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.